Ladies and gentlemen, it is not enough that the Democrats are in love with an illegal MS-13 gang member. It's not enough that they demand men play in women's sports. It's not enough that they support government waste and fraud. And it's not enough that they refuse to stand for a 13-year-old brain cancer survivor. Now, Democrats are presenting us with their worst take ever, which is fighting against autism research to figure out why rates in children are so high. In this video, we're gonna take a look at the new cruel and delusional levels. This might have to be their worst take yet, because this specifically is involving children, trying to figure out why this neurological disorder is becoming so prevalent and ruining the lives of so many kids. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but let's start by hearing from RFK just how common autism is these days.
The ASD prevalence rate in 8-year-olds is now 1 in 31. Shocking. There's an extreme risk for boys. Overall, the risk for boys of getting an autism diagnosis in this country is now 1 in 20. And as high in California, which has the best data collection. So it probably also reflects the national trend, 1 in 12.5 boys.
I mean, these are extremely concerning numbers. In California, 1 out of every 12 boys has autism. This is an epidemic and should be a national priority. Yet throughout this video, I'm going to show you the Democrats, in their obsession with misguided compassion and inclusion, are trying to make the argument that autism is a wonderful thing. It's a superpower. It's just a different kind of personality. It's something we should be inclusive of and accepting of, and basically advocating for why everybody should want their kid to be autistic. It's such an insanely cruel and unusual perspective to have, but yet it's so on point for the rest of the Democrat philosophy, masquerading around as compassion when in reality all it's doing is sentencing people to a life of hardship and struggle. This goes back to the root of the problem, which is the Democrat Party glamorizing and romanticizing mental illness as some sort of quirky personality or identity, rather than something that limits a person's ability to have a normal and enjoyable life. Here is RFK explaining just how disastrous it is that so many children are being diagnosed with autism, and reminding people just how disastrous this mental illness can be.
Sir, this is an individual tragedy as well. Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes, they'll never hold a job, they'll never play baseball, they'll never write a poem, they'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children.
Now, that was the clip that sparked mass outrage by the virtue signaling left, prompting them to go on this mass endorsement campaign and describing what a superpower it is and why we should all be accepting and inclusive of it, and remove any stigma around it that it's some sort of hindrance or burden or a problem that needs to be fixed. And this extremely heartless marketing campaign from the left was met with severe backlash from families who have children and other family members who suffer from severe autism, which is who RFK was talking about in the first place. So I'm going to show you guys some of the favorite posts that I saw while looking at this on X. This is somebody who quote tweeted the clip I just showed you. They said, "My son is autistic. He paid taxes last year. He has a job. He is going to college. He's an Eagle Scout." Basically, it's the left posting all kinds of stories like this about just how high functioning their kid with autism is. And for every single virtue signaling advocation there's a person who claps back with a strong resentment to their statement. This person responds to that post and says, "It has been absolutely wild realizing how many people, even those familiar with autism, who seem unaware that much more severe cases of autism exist." Another post says, "This is my 31-year-old autistic son, Kelsey. He's kinder than any Republican. He works every day, pays taxes, spends hours a day learning, helps others, and is way smarter than RFK will ever be." And the person quote tweeting this is an account called Autism Dad, an account that documents his journey having an autistic kid. And he responds, "RFK isn't talking about people like your son. Please sit this one out so the rest of us can help our kids." Because what the left does is they insert themselves into any conversation as the moral superior, and their opinion is the most virtuous and righteous one. And they're so disrespectful to the families who actually have to deal with cases of severe or regular autism. Not these miracle stories of parents who are fortunate enough to have a kid with autism that's mild enough for them to properly function in society. These families are vast and numerous, and they're wondering how can they help their children. They would like to know why it's so prevalent. Before I get into more of these posts, let me show you a video posted by a mother dealing with her autistic son, just to give everybody a reminder of how brutal this can be for families to deal with.
Alright, no Applebee's today. You can have hot dog, pancakes, or pizza.
The Applebee's.
No, we can go to Applebee's on Wednesday.
The Applebee's.
Applebee's restaurant, Wednesday. Today, hot dogs, pancakes, or pizza.
Do you? Oh no!
What? Which one do you want?
No!
This is the experience or something like this of most families who are dealing with autism. To them, it's not some blessing. It's not fashionable. It's not a way for them to virtue signal and show how inclusive they are. Autism isn't something that we wish upon kids to have. Nobody is wishing that their kid comes out autistic. It's psychopathic and inhumane to try to describe autism as something that doesn't need to be fixed and should just be accepted. Here's another guy who said, "This is my son. He has autism. He is teaching himself piano and learns songs by ear. He taught himself to read at 2 years old. He's in the 94th percentile for math. There's challenges, but he's the best thing in my life. There's nothing wrong with him. RFK." Think about how crazy you have to be mad at a person who's trying to understand why a neurological developmental illness is so prevalent amongst children. Just because autism affected your son in a way that makes him a math whiz and a music whiz doesn't mean for the vast majority of people dealing with autism that's their experience. It's such an ignorant take to have. That would be like me saying, world hunger doesn't exist because when I look in my fridge, there's food there. So someone responded to that and said, "Yet another leftist celebrating because their child has autism. Not the least bit curious why their child has autism or if there may be a cause we don't know yet, hoping and praying that countless more have autism." Strange flex coming from the left. Because that's what they made their platform about. Not being able to criticize or deem anything abnormal as wrong or needing changed. It was just different. It's a different identity. It's a different personality type. People are on a spectrum. Being so about inclusion that you're not willing to deem anything destructive. It would be like if somebody said they had the cure to paralysis. They could make people walk again. And Democrats would outrage and say, "How dare you assume that my brother or my sister who's in a wheelchair needs to be fixed. They're productive citizens. They hold jobs. They're parents. They have fun and enjoy life just the same as you. They're just different. You're intolerant by not accepting them how they come." And us normal people are like, wait, you don't want this person to be able to walk again? That's strange. That's cruel. But that's the thinking that was ushered in through the Democrats' radical woke identity-based politics. Being disabled isn't bad. It's just another identity. And you wouldn't understand because you're able-bodied and you have able-bodied privilege. Well, sure, I want to give these people able-bodied privilege too. It was the same thing with the body positivity movement. We all know being obese is unhealthy and leads to an unhappy, burdensome life. But yet the Democrat position was, how dare you say being fat is bad, or I should lose weight, or I should eat healthier. You're just fat phobic. Being plus size is just a different identity. It goes back to what Thomas Sowell calls the bigotry of low expectations. How dare you tell somebody to eat healthy, work out, and get their life together? No, accept them as they come. How dare you say children shouldn't have this debilitating neurological disease cured? No, accept them as they come. They're special. Their faux compassion and their incessant need to feel virtuous has led them to having an ideology that denies people the ability to have a normal, happy, healthy life. Here's a post from a page called Life with Severe Autism, chiming in on this whole debate. Right now, there are parents out there somewhere who are placing their 15-year-old severely autistic child in a residential facility because of self-injurious behaviors and violence towards the family. They may feel autism is a tragedy. Right now, there is a mom of a severely autistic adult who has malignant catatonia, and she is fighting to get him ECT treatment to save his life. She may feel autism is a tragedy. Right now, there is a severely autistic individual who is smearing fecal matter all over the walls of their bedroom. The parents may feel that autism is a tragedy. Right now, there is a home of a severely autistic individual that has huge holes in the wall, a TV that has been destroyed, and broken furniture. The parents may feel that autism is a tragedy. If this isn't your experience, then be grateful, but don't judge families who are experiencing this every single day and are exhausted, depressed, and desperate for someone to understand and help. Maybe you feel autism hasn't destroyed your family. That's wonderful, but can you at least acknowledge that other families might feel that it has? We aren't all living the same lives. Some families want to feel heard. And so what's even worse is Democrat politicians have jumped in on the virtue signaling, openly fighting against RFK wanting to research why a disability is affecting children so much. I mean, this is peak level inhumanity, cruelness. Governor Pritzker says RFK Jr.'s lies about autism are disgraceful, and I won't share them to spread misinformation. He consistently undermines public health and reinforces dangerous myths. In Illinois, we stand with those with autism, and I'll keep fighting for inclusion, science, and the truth. Just imagine how delusional you have to be to think you're being a good person by saying, we stand with those with autism. Nobody is saying that these people don't have value, that they don't have dignity, that they don't deserve rights or compassion or sympathy. But saying you stand with them as if nothing's wrong and people shouldn't be upset about having autistic children, they should just happily accept it and encourage more of it, is asinine. It's bizarre. Liz Warren, Pocahontas chimes in. I won't share RFK Jr.'s lies about autism. It's disgusting and dangerous. If he had a shred of decency, he would apologize and resign. Autistic people contribute every day to our nation's greatness. To every kid with autism, I'm in this fight all the way for you. She acts like RFK's stance is to eradicate autistic kids because the Democrats, again, see everything as some sort of identity. Let Democrats tell it. They'd prefer if every single person was a transgender, autistic, obese person of color. This person responded to Elizabeth Warren saying, Democrats pretending that everyone with autism is high functioning to own RFK Jr. is comically evil. Yes, there are plenty of people with varying degrees of autism that live relatively normal lives. There are also plenty of parents caring for severely autistic children who will never live on their own. I know several of them personally. Erasing them in the attempt to lead some political smear campaign demonstrates an incredible degree of depravity. And that's all it is. The Democrats are so Trump deranged, they can't even join hands with the Republicans to do robust research to determine what is causing this insane spike in autism amongst kids. Kids! We're talking about kids, and they're fighting against it. Another person claps back to Liz Warren with the facts. Your ignorance is astounding. Data indicates that 80% of people with autism will never live independently. 50% will never hold a job. The new ADDM data indicates that roughly 60% of the 4-year-olds diagnosed with autism have intellectual disability. This is an unrelenting tragedy and a true epidemic. Families are brought to their knees daily, managing self-injurious behavior, aggression, pain, multiple medical comorbidities, and giving intense support for basic activities of daily living. Families and affected individuals miss out on life cycle events, community celebrations, holidays. Your take is disgusting and dangerous. And that is the whole problem with the Democrat platform romanticizing mental illness as just this cool thing that makes you different. Who wants to be normal anyways? Being normal's lame. Why be normal when you can be neurodivergent? Why fit into the confines of boy and girl when you're more special than that? You're something that's never existed before and can't fit into the binary of reality. You're different. You're special. It's such a gross, perverse philosophy that is ruining the country. So after all of this misplaced Democrat outrage on X, RFK was on Fox defending his position. Here he is describing the truth of how autism is, which is many or most cases are similar to the video that I showed you prior. Take a look.
Kids with autism, about 25% of them are nonverbal, non-toilet trained. They have all these stereotypical behaviors: head banging, biting, toe walking, stimming. And that population is growing higher and higher. So it's becoming a larger percentage. So we're seeing much, much more, many more cases that are now linked to severe intellectual disabilities. Let me say this. There are many kids with autism who are doing well. They're holding down jobs. They're getting paychecks. They're living independently. But I was specifically referring to that 25%, the group that is nonverbal.
That was clear. You were not ambiguous on that. You were clear.
Right.
25% are severely autistic, severely. The Democrats were the ones who were in favor of shutting down the entire world over a disease that had a 99.99% survival rate. But they don't want to look into research that is causing 1 in every 4 kids with this disease to be unable to function in the slightest bit for their entire life. And you're talking about 25% that have the worst of it. There's probably 25% who have it the worst, 25% who are what you would deem high functioning and can live on their own and participate in society with some light manageable struggle. But then there's the 50% in the middle who are still significantly inhibited by this. They may not be as bad as the 25% that have absolutely no chance at living a functioning life at all, but they're still struggling and burdened significantly. I just can't fathom the lack of morals or soul required to not get behind looking at everything and seeing what is causing this autism epidemic in our children. But here's where RFK says he does not care about the outrage from the cruel and delusional left. They are going to look at everything.
And we're going to be transparent about our protocols, about the data sets, and then every study will have to be replicated. We're going to look at mold. We're going to look at the age of parents. We're going to look at food and food additives. We're going to look at pesticides and toxic exposures. We're going to look at medicines. We're going to look at vaccines. We're going to look at everything.
Well, that's the quintessential definition of science, and you're going to get to the bottom of it.
It's things like this that really perplex me about the Democrat Party. I don't understand how they expect to be taken seriously or why they still think that they're the party of compassion, of inclusion, of kindness. They already exposed themselves to be none of those things. In fact, the opposite. But they still have to hold on to this delusion because their entire self-worth is entirely wrapped up in this false narrative that they're virtuous and righteous and morally superior, intellectually superior, and overall better people than us dumb, racist, ignorant MAGA folk. But we're the people who just want autism to be cured. And they're the ones fighting it because somehow we're bigots. But the last thing I'm going to show you is CNN talking about this and doing the exact same virtue signaling nonsense. Take a look.
So now he is of the belief that once you're born, that there are environmental toxins that are somehow affecting that, for which he has no evidence. He's just making it up. And I think that when he sort of over dramatizes this, that they'll never pay taxes, that they'll never love again. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw that 2-year series, Love on the Spectrum, that was on a reality show, but they can love again. So I'm not sure why he dramatizes it the way he does.
There you go. I mean, they're pointing to Netflix shows as proof that autism isn't bad. It's just so incredibly disrespectful to the families and people actually suffering from this. And I cannot believe, well, I guess I can because the Democrat Party has just gone completely loony, but it's insane to me that they're actually fighting against RFK researching this and looking into it. I mean, if we're just speaking brutally honest here, our society cannot function. It cannot survive, let alone thrive, if 1 out of every 12 people being born is autistic. That would mean 1 out of every 48 kids being born is severely autistic, will never participate in society, will never have kids, will never love, will never learn, will never experience any kind of real joy. That is a cruel and evil thing to just openly accept it, to say we should let it happen because we should be more accepting. We should be more inclusive. The left has become a party so detached from reality, so obsessed with their academic theories of alternative perspectives about how life should be, what's good or what's not good. Real people don't look at disabilities and say, nah, that's actually a superpower. Just because 1 out of every 1,000 kids with autism turns out to be a brilliant genius doesn't mean we should accept it overall if 700 out of those 1,000 are non-functioning human beings who will never have a normal life. It's like when people who have family members that have Down syndrome or something like that will say, I love them as they are and I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I understand the sentiment because it's your family member. You love them. That's fine. They could be kind people. But to say that if you couldn't snap your fingers and remove the disability from them, you wouldn't do it, that's cruel. That's not kind and compassionate. That says you would rather this person not be able to live a normal, happy life so you can feel good and morally superior. I don't know what's going on with the Democrat Party, but if their new position is to advocate for kids having mental disabilities, I think they're certainly at the precipice, if not already there, of being a party that is permanently toxic and totally unsupportable. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.